The radar lit up like a Christmas tree, alarms shrieking through the cockpit, shaking the plane and rattling her nerves. Nobody knew what was coming. Nobody knew that behind the visor, strapped into the most advanced fighter jet the world had ever seen, was a woman, calm, focused, and deadly precise. For months, she had flown under the radar, a ghost in the skies, unnoticed, underestimated, dismissed by those who assumed a woman could not dominate the F-22 Raptor. But tonight, everything would change. Like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for more stories. The sun was just dipping below the horizon, painting the clouds with streaks of blood red and gold, the kind of sky that felt heavy with foreboding. Her jet hummed under her fingertips, every control a delicate balance between life and death. She could feel the weight of the mission pressing down, but so could her opponents, though they didn't know it yet. The camera would follow her hands as they danced over the controls, eyes narrowing, heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of the engines. She remembered the early mornings, the endless hours of training, the mocking voices in the simulator rooms, the doubt that clung to her like a shadow. Every sneer, every condescending glance had fueled a fire in her chest. Tonight, that fire would burn hotter than ever. Her squadron radio buzzed with nervous chatter, the men unaware that the pilot they joked about, the one they thought was a token assignment, was about to rewrite the rules of engagement. Suddenly, the radar pinged again. 6 blips, fast approaching, sleek and deadly enemy jets cutting through the thinning light like predators. Her pulse didn't spike. She welcomed it. Every instinct, every ounce of training screamed that this was what she was made for. She adjusted her helmet, feeling the familiar weight of the ejection harness snug against her body, and thought about the years she had spent proving herself in ways no one ever asked. And yet, in moments like this, she didn't need anyone to believe in her. She had the sky, and she had herself. The first missile warning flashed, a red arc screaming across her heads-up display. Her fingers moved almost of their own volition, launching flares, twisting the jet into evasive maneuvers that would make most pilots dizzy with fear. The enemy jets dove in formation, confidence oozing from their coordinated attack, unaware that the person in front of them was about to become a living nightmare. She remembered her father's words decades ago, when he had walked her through the hangars of an airbase, pointing out planes like they were priceless works of art. "Respect the machine," he had said, "but trust the pilot more." Those words echoed now, guiding her hands, steadying her breath, sharpening her focus. The first enemy jet broke through her defensive sweep. She took a breath, a small click in the radio her only warning, and then she fired. The missile streaked across the sky, tracing a line of fire that would haunt the enemy pilot's final seconds. The explosion lit up the clouds, a silent declaration of skill, power, and determination. Her squadron erupted into stunned chatter. Who, what, just... They started, but she was already moving on, eyes locked on the next threat. 6 enemy jets, 6 minutes, and no one could touch her. Not yet. The clouds rolled overhead like a curtain, hiding the next wave of danger, but she felt ready, every nerve alive with anticipation. The night was still young, and the story of her legend was just beginning. The sky darkened further, clouds thickening like an approaching army, and with it came the weight of expectation, danger, and history itself. She had always flown in shadows, always kept her name quiet, always let others take credit when she had earned it. But tonight there would be no hiding. Tonight, the F-22 would become her instrument of both justice and survival, and every move she made would be watched, even if no one knew it yet. Her eyes scanned the horizon, watching blips dance across the radar, each one a potential death sentence. 6 enemy jets remained, sleek silhouettes in the fading light, their formation tight, disciplined, arrogant. They didn't know who they were up against. They didn't know that she had trained for this her entire life, that she had faced simulations so realistic that the sting of failure had etched itself into her very bones. The camera would pull back slightly, showing her jet slicing through clouds like a knife, leaving contrails of brilliance behind her, a visual symphony of motion and intent. Her squadron attempted to engage, but the enemy was aggressive, clever, lethal. She could hear the tension in their voices, the rising panic, and it fueled her resolve. This wasn't about proving them wrong anymore. This was about survival, about protecting the people on the ground, the civilians who had no idea what danger lurked above them. She thought of her younger sister, of the small town she had left behind to chase a dream that no one believed in. Every enemy jet she destroyed tonight was a promise kept, a promise that she would fight not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been doubted. The first 2 enemy jets went down in a flash of light and smoke, twisting, spiraling into the clouds below. Her breathing remained controlled, almost meditative. She wasn't just reacting. She was orchestrating a deadly ballet, her mind calculating angles, wind currents, speed, and trajectory with the precision of a chess grandmaster. She was lethal, yes, but she was also deliberate. Each move was intentional, a step closer to surviving this storm and coming out victorious. A sudden ping on the radar indicated another enemy jet breaking off from the formation, likely attempting a flanking maneuver. She tilted her jet, following with uncanny precision, her hands moving faster than the eye could follow, releasing countermeasures, lining up her shot. The explosion that followed illuminated her cockpit in stark, fiery orange. A fleeting moment that would be burned into the memories of those watching from the ground, and perhaps into the enemy's consciousness, if they survived at all. Her squadron's radio buzzed with disbelief. 6 minutes in, and she's down 2 already. I don't understand. One of the men hesitated mid-sentence, unsure if he had just witnessed skill, luck, or something altogether beyond explanation. She didn't respond. There was no time. The remaining 4 enemy jets were closing fast, their approach more coordinated, more dangerous. But she was ready. The night had sharpened her instincts, and fear had become a distant memory. Then, almost imperceptibly, a shiver ran down her spine. The enemy wasn't just attacking, they were learning, adapting. They were trying to anticipate her, but she had anticipated them first. Her eyes narrowed, scanning, calculating. The sun now just a sliver beneath the clouds, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch toward her like ghostly hands. And in that moment, she understood this was more than a battle of planes. It was a test of will, courage, and the very essence of what it meant to be a warrior in the sky. The remaining enemy jets closed in with terrifying speed, engines roaring like thunder over a storm-lashed ocean. Her fingers were steady on the controls, but inside, adrenaline screamed like a war drum. Every nerve was alive, every muscle primed for the moment when instinct and training collide. The sky itself seemed too tense, the clouds rolling like smoke over a battlefield, shadows twisting with the threat of unseen danger. She was alone in the air, but not lonely. She carried the weight of her squadron, her mission, and the countless lives below who had no idea the storm above was about to become a nightmare for their attackers. The first of the four struck. Her jet twisted into a barrel roll, missile locks flashing across her heads-up display. She fired with precision, honed over years of simulation and sacrifice. Watching the enemy jet explode in a flash of orange and fire, tumbling downward like a broken star, there was no celebration, no sense of triumph, only the cold, relentless focus of survival. The radio chatter around her was a mixture of disbelief and awe. She's down 3 already. One voice stammered, but she didn't need their validation. She had long ago learned that recognition in the sky came only from victory, and tonight she would earn it. The fourth jet maneuvered aggressively, attempting to flank her, banking hard as it cut through the clouds. She anticipated it, her mind a symphony of calculation and instinct. The camera would catch her eyes through the visor, calm, unflinching, but alive with intensity. Every movement she made was poetry in motion, lethal and deliberate. She fired again. Another explosion, another enemy jet destroyed, leaving only 2 remaining. Her chest tightened. These last 2 were the most dangerous, the most skilled, the most desperate to survive and to destroy her. One misstep, one wrong calculation, and she could join the wreckage spiraling beneath her. She adjusted her controls subtly, riding the air currents, using every advantage her F-22 Raptor offered. She remembered all the early mornings alone on the tarmac, the hours she had spent perfecting maneuvers that no one believed she could master. Every second of practice, every ounce of sacrifice had led to this moment. Then it happened. The fifth jet dove from above, trying to catch her off guard. She felt a ripple of fear, quick and sharp, but it didn't stay. She twisted the jet, letting the Raptor scream through the clouds, and fired. The missile hit its mark. The enemy jet burst apart in a blinding flash, leaving only one jet, the leader, the most experienced. The most dangerous, circling like a predator that had finally noticed its prey. Her heart pounded, but her mind was ice. She could almost hear the enemy pilot's thoughts through the tension in the air, disbelief, fury, desperation. But she wasn't just a pilot. She was a force, a hurricane in a cockpit, a master of speed, skill, and sheer will. The last jet tried to escape, weaving through clouds, but she anticipated every move. She climbed, rolled, and fired with lethal precision. A final explosion illuminated the sky, painting the clouds in orange and gold. 6 enemy jets, 17 minutes. And the world had no idea who had just rewritten the rules of aerial combat. The sky fell silent. Smoke lingered in the air, the contrails of her victory fading into the darkness. Her breathing was steady, but her body still hummed with the remnants of adrenaline. She unclipped her harness slowly, hands shaking just slightly from the intensity of the fight. Around her, the squadron's chatter had turned to stunned whispers, awe thick in every word. They had no idea who she was, no idea what they had just witnessed. And for her, that was perfectly fine. Recognition was not her goal. Survival, mission success, and honor, that was all that mattered. She flew back to base as the sun finally disappeared, casting a deep purple hue over the horizon. Every turn of the jet, every adjustment of the throttle felt almost ceremonial, a quiet reflection after chaos. Memories of her journey flashed in her mind, the doubters, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the relentless grind of proving herself in a world that often refused to believe in women pilots. All of it had led to this night, to these 17 minutes that would change her life forever. When she finally landed, the airfield was quiet. The hangars empty, yet heavy with the unspoken story of what had occurred above. Ground crews looked up at her jet, some still stunned by the echoes of explosions in the distance, but she barely noticed them. She unstrapped herself and stepped out, helmet in hand, letting the cool night air wash over her. For the first time in hours, she allowed herself a small breath of relief. And then came the whispers. Among the squadron, the officers, even in the Pentagon channels, the story began to spread. 6 enemy jets. 17 minutes, a woman pilot, brave, unyielding, extraordinary, had done what no one thought possible. But she didn't seek fame. She didn't seek glory. Her reward was the knowledge that she had done her job, protected her comrades, and proven, once and for all, that courage and skill are not defined by gender. As she looked up at the stars, the sky where she had just fought, she allowed herself a moment of reflection. War was chaos, but she had carved clarity from it. Danger had tested her, fire had refined her, and in the end she had emerged not just victorious, but transformed. Her journey was far from over, but tonight she had flown like a force of nature. Unstoppable, unforgettable, and undeniably human. The camera would linger on her silhouette, the wind brushing her hair, the F-22 behind her standing proud, a monument to courage and perseverance. And somewhere in the hearts of those who doubted, the story of the pilot who took down 6 enemy jets in 17 minutes would live on. A reminder that true heroes often arrive unseen, unannounced, and unstoppable.